Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 9th of June 2023. Had an interesting email through this morning while I was having my breakfast, and basically I was given the heads up about a video floating around YouTube at the moment which is calling me out as being controlled opposition apparently. And I've had a few comments under recent videos kind of insinuating the same sort of thing. Well, what I'd like to say to these people is thanks, basically, for, what you've done is cleared something up in my head, like a little question in the back of my mind that I've had for the last couple of years about whether these accusations of controlled opposition, which seem to crop up against various people from time to time, whether they're true or not. And of course, you never know when it comes to other people, other YouTubers, whether it's justified or not. But when it comes to yourself, you personally, of course, you do know 100% for sure, what the truth is. And I can now know, and I can also now say to you that these accusations of controlled opposition aren't true all of the time. They might be true 50% of the time, 30%, 20% of the time, who knows? But I now know 100% that they're not accurate all of the time. So that means you have to really use your own judgment, when you see these things, and, give people really the benefit of the doubt until there's 100% proof that these accusations are true. It's a whole sort of innocent until proven guilty thing, isn't it? But yeah, that's kind of cleared something up in my head. And also, I've said this before in these videos, is it the case that the people being called out are controlled opposition, or is it the people doing the calling out who are the real controlled opposition? Because after all, if you're sort of watching someone on YouTube and you sort of think they're a great guy or a great girl, and then all of a sudden there's these accusations of controlled opposition coming through, that kind of diminishes trust and sowing seeds of doubt. And of course, that is what the powers that shouldn't be would like to do. The whole divide and conquer thing, isn't it? So is it another tactic from the powers that shouldn't be, this whole controlled op thing? And if it is, that's another badge of honour that I can wear on my sort of shirt proudly, alongside the censorship thing, the shadow banning thing, the being called a shill thing, and the YouTube strike thing. They're all sort of little badges of honour I can sort of wear on my shirt now, aren't they? So I'm just going to sort of be grateful for it, really, and thank the people for clearing something up that was a doubt in my head previously. So I think this has all come about because of my attendance to the Better Way conference last week, in actual fact, and some of the interviews that I've done. I don't think a few viewers were particularly happy with either, weren't happy with some of the people I interviewed. But the thing is, again, it's innocent until proven guilty. If people seem to be saying the right thing, playing a part in getting the truth out there, I'm going to go and check them out if I possibly can, do some interviews, do some filming, just be there with them in person to see what they're really like, because it's always better when you actually meet these people firsthand rather than just seeing them online. And I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and all I'm concerned about is getting the truth out there, investigating the truth, finding out what it is, and then getting it out there. And I'll probably go up some blind alleys if I go and meet someone, or I kind of get the bad vibe from them, from their videos, or from meeting them in person, or from an organization. I'll drop them like a hot potato. But If I go along and they seem okay and they seem genuine, I will give them more of my time. You know, that's all I'm about, really. So yeah, just a few words. I'm not going to waste too much more time on this. I've said what I need to say on that, and I'm not going to apologise for going to things like the Better Way conference. You know, I don't need to justify myself. I can sort of know that I'm doing things with a totally clear conscience, and that I am in this just to find out what the truth is and to get it out there and share it as far and as wide as possible.
So back to reporting on proper things. So there's a video going around the Telegram groups at the moment, going pretty much viral as well. And it's about this guy. I don't think he's a Londoner. I think he's down in London for a couple of days on business. And he went into a local Aldi there in Greenwich. And he was confronted by these barriers, basically. So in order to go into this Aldi, you have to download their app. You have to then scan the QR code or barcode, whatever it is, on the app onto the pad thing on the barrier. It's like a railway station type barrier, basically. And then the barrier's open and you can go into the shop and do your shopping. So I don't know. I always learnt when it comes to business that you should put as few barriers in the way of your customer as possible. You want to make their kind of experience with you as smooth and as easy as possible. So by doing this seems to fly in the face of that. It's just absolutely stupid, really. But to be fair, when you look at the photos, the aisles beyond the barriers and the shop generally looks pretty empty. So I'm hoping that this shop is going to prove to be pretty unpopular and the whole thing is going to crash and burn. I mean, it's not like you're short of shops in Greenwich, is it? I know, I haven't been there for many years, but from memory there's loads of places you can get food from. So let's hope people in Greenwich and other areas where they bring in this stupid nonsense, that the customers kind of just vote with their feet and think, to hell with this app stuff and these barriers, I'm just going to go next door to the other sort of competing supermarket instead. And we can just vote with our feet and knock this kind of horrible digital prison type thing on its head before it takes hold. But pretty much right under that article I saw on the Telegram groups was another one, and apparently Morrison's are now ripping out cameras made by a Chinese firm called Hikvision. I think there's kind of privacy concerns with them, spying concerns, whatever it might be. And Morrison's have started to rip them out, thanks to, I think, sort of public pushback and people making it known to Morrison's that, you know, these things aren't a great idea like they probably thought they were. So that is a good bit of news, and it does show by pushing back against this kind of thing, we can sort of make these bigger companies change their tune very quickly. So that leads me nicely on to China. The fact that those cameras that have been ripped out are made there. There seems to be two groups of people around, doesn't there, at the moment? One group of people who think that China and the Chinese leadership and the system there are a good thing, and others who thinks it's a totally evil thing. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about the actual country or the actual people. From what I've seen of China, it's a very beautiful place, and the people, I'm sure, are sort of lovely, friendly and everything else, just like everyone else really, decent people. But it's the leadership and the system, isn't it? And there's so many people here in the West who actually think that China should be a model. that the system is something that we should sort of go for ourselves, albeit in maybe a watered down kind of way. But no, I think this is entirely wrong. It's ridiculous, and I think that anyone, especially any politician, and there's quite a lot of politicians and other powers that shouldn't be tight, like Klaus Schwab, people like Trudeau, and people in this country. We're not even talking about Labour politicians, Conservative politicians even, I believe. I think it was Jeremy Hunt who actually sort of was praising the Chinese system or various aspects of it at some stage. But, these people in positions of power and who should know better are actually praising China and thinking that their system is a good thing. Now, no doubt these people are would-be tyrants. We've seen that over the last 3 years. So many people in power took great delight in having these draconian powers, and some of them could barely keep the smirks off their faces, could they, when they were acting upon their ability to have vast draconian powers over the population. They absolutely loved it, didn't they? So their kind of little inner Chinese communist selves came out, and we saw that in spades, didn't we? But I think any politician who thinks that the Chinese system is a good thing, if they're on record as saying that they admire China and think that their system is great, and any politician who has, exhibited authoritarian tendencies, well, they just don't deserve their positions of power, as far as I'm concerned. They need to be kicked out. They've demonstrated that they are totally and utterly unfit for office. And I think we need to make our displeasure known. And if we see any of our politicians, coming out with things like, they admire China and think we should be like China, no, we need to push back against that. We need to make it 100% clear that we find those kind of views unacceptable. As far as I'm concerned, it's as bad as praising the Stalinist regime in the Soviet Union in the sort of 30s and 40s. It's as bad as praising the regime that Germany saw between 1933 and 45. It's no different, and therefore any politician who praises the Chinese regime needs to be called out on it and preferably just removed from office that they're so unfit to be in. Anyway, just a few thoughts there, and gonna leave it. Back tomorrow. Tim from Fair Play Now. Thanks for watching.